as we age, sometimes it's difficult to know who or what resources we might need. And sometimes you need a lot of them. And then sometimes maybe you just need one person. Today's guest is my friend Sharyn Willard, and she owns Mature Transitions of Tulsa. So she lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she is really a one source solution for seniors and their adult children as they navigate all of their life transitions. She focuses on helping older adults successfully age in place, whether that means remaining in their current home, moving in with family, or transitioning to a senior community. She is a certified aging in place specialist conducting home assessments, and she is also the founder of the National Aging in Place Council Oklahoma chapter and a volunteer with AARP. She has also been selected as a guest speaker for the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers 2026 conference in Indianapolis. Oh my gosh, Sharyn Willard is my guest on this episode of Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. In today's world, older adults face major transitions like downsizing, relocating, or modifying their homes to age in place, all while embracing life after these changes. As a senior home advisor and seasoned realtor, Robin McCoy guides these decisions with care and thoughtful planning, helping create a vibrant future. Welcome to Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60 with me, your host, Robin McCoy. Hey, Sharyn, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We've got some cool and different things to talk about today, so I'm happy that you're here.
Yes, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
My pleasure. And for those that don't know, now Sharyn and I are both part of the Senior Home Coach organization, movement, whatever we're calling that. So we've met several times in person. We are both a part of that organization, which you've heard me talk about multiple times on the show. So that's where Sharyn comes into my world. And I'm just really excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit. Now, you are in Tulsa, so let's make sure everybody knows that you're up in Tulsa. And tell us a little bit about what you do and how your business revolves around serving our seniors.
Okay, awesome. So by trade, I'm a real estate agent. However, I don't come out with that. I don't even know. Half the time, people don't even know that I'm a realtor. And the reason why I do that, it's by choice. Because I know with working with seniors, there's so many other things that are compacted into that. Everybody's situation is different. So what I do is I find out what their situation is. I would love for people to be able to age in place because probably about 90% of people, they just want to age in place. They're not looking at, they love their house, it's their forever home. They have no intentions of moving. And so what I do is find out what options are out there. We can do home assessments. I'm a certified aging in place specialist, so I can go through and do home modifications, let them know about resources that are available for home health, home care, just whatever that looks like to be able to allow them to age in place. And so if in the event that that's not a viable option, that it's not safe for them to live at home, and they need to go to the next level of what's my next step, then that's when the overwhelm comes. So I can go sit down with them, talk to them, find out what exactly it is. We can explain that later, but I can go and I can help them find a community. I can help them pack up everything, have it moved over. If it's local, I can help them unpack, put everything back up. Then I can do the estate sale and sell the family homes.
So you're kind of like the soup to nuts, right? You are,
yes.
Let's get you through this whole transition. And it sounds like you're pretty hands-on really with all of it, but
yes.
You also have references or referrals that you can hand out if that is something that's required, right?
Yeah. So normally a normal person would outsource. They can say, hey, here's a list of 3 to 4 people that you can call, different people. But guess what? If you have all these different people that you need to call, 3 or 4, you're not really helping them because it's still overwhelming to them. To be able to walk through them and do the whole process with them, it just makes it a smooth transition. I can do it myself, or like I said, if we're in another state, I know I can call Robin because she can do X, Y, Z. So each part of the country, because of what we do, we're all on the same page. We have a passion for our seniors, and we serve seniors. So, but for them, I can do a lot of these things and do a lot of the whole hand holding.
And it is a lot of that because like you said, it's very can be very overwhelming. It can be analysis paralysis.
Hmm.
Sometimes. Now you do one thing that a lot of people don't do, and I think a lot of people don't even know this exists. And we've talked about it a couple of times on the show, but just not very often. And that is actually the senior move management. So,
Yes.
actually moving seniors. It's not just
Hmm.
like you would move a 30-year-old. So, let's talk a
Excellent.
little bit about what senior move management is and why it is such a benefit for seniors.
Okay, so on a traditional move, when you're young, hey, we're going to have to move. Come over, the kids, the teenagers come over, the college kids come over, and they have pizza and pop or beer or whatever it is that they have. And that's what they do. When you're dealing with seniors, it's so much more complicated than that. You're going through and helping them sort out things that they can take because where they're going, chances are they're not going to be able to take majority of what they have. So
Right.
it's just like trying to go through and find out which one of your children that you want to take with you and which ones you're going to leave at home. I mean, sometimes it's easy, but you know what I'm saying? But going through the process of having them find what they are the non-negotiables that they don't want to leave behind and wherever they're going, will it fit? And then to be able to go and help them through that process. And a lot of the situations are either the individual or their spouse has maybe early onset dementia. So when you're packing and when you're getting ready to do a move, you have to think in terms of what's going to be on the other end. So wherever your furniture is placed, is it going to be in the same place so that the person, when they're moving over there that may have the cognitive decline, they're not going to get overwhelmed or stressed because they feel like they're still in the same place.
When you walk in the room, the bed is there, and
Yes,
the tall dressers to the right and the lower dressers to the left, and the
yes.
blue lamps are on the tables.
I just recently just did this last week. As a matter of fact, I did the same thing. The husband was in rehab, and whenever he couldn't go home, he had to go directly to the senior community. So what I did is I took the bed and had it moved, and where it's in the same place, the dresser's in the same place, everything. So when he got in there, he felt like he was in the same place. He knew that it was a little bit smaller, but he felt comfortable. The couch in the front room was the same place. The lamp on the table, everything that he was used to seeing at the place was in the same spot.
Just that move in and of itself can be traumatic,
Yes.
right? And so having things as familiar as possible
Yes.
just makes that a little more, I guess, a little more smooth.
Yes. It just doesn't, it creates that, takes away the anxiety. And I did have another move for a lady. Actually, they had her moved into a senior community, and the movers had already, it was my, I didn't do that move, but when I got into place, I was to go and take the boxes that the movers just dropped off wherever they dropped it. I had to go through and unpack everything. And this particular client, she had early onset dementia. She did her little bags, and she knew the little bag with the diamonds on it had XYZ in it, and another bag had these other things, and those are things that she did herself. So whenever I went to go unpack them, I didn't have a clue that she had a method to her madness, and it took her over the edge because it gave her that anxiety of where is that, and that was her sense of security, knowing that in that little bag with the diamonds on it had her whatever it was that she had in there. So these are things that people don't think about when you're doing a move for a senior. Yes.
But I would say, kids, especially if they don't live in town, right? The adult children, okay, it's time to move. Mom, all right, let's all go there on this weekend, and we're going to do it that weekend. And so they go in, and they, like a tornado, right?
Yes.
They come in and pack up the house and put mom in the back seat and take her across town and move her in and say, okay, we're done.
Yes.
And that's not really the way to do that.
That's correct. Yes. And one thing that people don't think about as well is all of the memories that go along with it. They
Yeah.
may have lost a child or a spouse, and the things are like, hey, you can't take that. You can't take that. That may be that one thing. And I was helping with a lady moved just last week, and I just saw this little piece of hair. I never thought about it. Her son, 62 years old, died of cancer, and that was the first lock of his hair. I would never have known. I
Yeah.
probably would have thought, oh, what is this? And threw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Anybody would have thought this is garbage and threw it. So that was a little piece of the memory that she had. And a normal mover won't know these things.
No. They won't know to ask.
Correct.
Right? And so I think that's, and when we talk about seniors, we talk about this on all aspects of working with seniors, it's talking about things early.
Mm-hmm.
With your aging loved ones, so that when and if it should come time to move and move into something smaller or safer, whether it be, just a smaller house or assisted living or memory care, whatever that looks like for an individual situation, is start talking about this early.
Yes.
So that you're not doing it in urgency, coming out of rehab and can't go home.
Right.
You have dementia, or early on, you have things that prevent you from going home, and now nobody's ever talked about it. So now it's in urgency, and that causes more trauma.
Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times when I'm talking to somebody that I meet, thrifting or whatever it may be, and they're like, I didn't even know that existed. I wish I would have known that whenever my mom or my dad had to move or whatever. They have no clue. And I just assume that everybody knows about this.
Nobody does. Nobody does.
Mm-hmm.
As a person in the industry and in real estate for 18 years,
mm-hmm.
until I started talking with people within this industry and in this community, I didn't
mm-hmm.
know senior move management was a thing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I learned is it's like, not only is it, you can take anything, you just can't take everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't take the whole set of china, but maybe
mm-hmm.
a teacup will do, right?
Yes.
So you can remember it was your grandmother's china. But it's also packing with the unpacking in mind.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? So
yes.
Talk a little bit about what that means.
So you're going to have the people that want to just hire, I'm not going to name a name of a place, but they'll
just
hire
your big movers.
Movers. They can come in there and they can pack it up. So in their mind, they're just putting things in there. They're thinking about packing and how it's going to fit in the truck.
Right.
They're not thinking about unpacking and putting things up. So, they might, sometimes people take a lot longer than what it takes because they're, want to make more money, but they're not thinking in terms of, instead of getting the tray of silverware and individually wrapping all the things and whatnot, just take the whole rack. If they're going to take all the silverware in it, just put what you want in it and just wrap that up. And then whenever it gets to the new place, of course, that only helps if the size of the drawer that you're putting it in is the same. But just things that you do that makes it easier for them. So if you're on the day of move, so for example, if you're moving somebody and you have all the boxes, you know that you may not be able to unpack everything in the first day, but you do know that they're going to need their silverware, they're going to need their coffee pot, all the things that they're going to need that same day or the next day. You pack in terms of, hey, what's going to be useful for them when they first get there within the first, hours of the move. But yeah, you just pack. I pack for unpacking the same way I would do in the dishwasher. I put all the forks together and all the, I think that I'm obsessive compulsive about that, but I know that when I load my dishwasher, when it's done, I get all the forks, I put them with the forks in the drawer, and it just, for me, it makes it work. So, I've been apparently doing this since before I was even in the industry.
Well, and I think, we don't know what we don't know. And
Correct.
So by thinking the way like you just described, I mean, if it's younger people, right? You throw the boxes all in the house, and then, you're opening, like, where is that coffee pot? Oh, there it is. And they're fine with doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're fine.
Yes.
They go, okay, it says kitchen, but there's 6 kitchen boxes. Which one has that coffee pot in it? They're fine opening and rummaging around. But a senior can't necessarily do that, right? They may not have the physical capability. They may not have the strength. They may not have the mental acumen to do that. So by making sure that there is someone there that packed the boxes in a way so that when Sharyn is at the other end and you guys are moving in, Sharyn says, okay, what are you going to need in the morning? You're going to want your coffee pot, and you're going to want, your plates and your forks, whatever. But you know where those are, and you packed them in such a way that you go to that box and you open it and you set these out.
Yes.
And I don't think people understand the importance of that, right? And making sure
right.
that the bed is set up and made,
Mm-hmm.
and the lamps are where they should be, particularly with someone maybe with some cognitive declines, so that they can sleep and the bed does look like their bed, and the sheets are their sheets.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you have the people in the military that are used to doing the corners a certain ways too. You can't just like throw it in there like that. It has to
That's
be
right.
done
Those
right.
beds have to have it a certain way. They're a certain
Yes.
way. Well, and another thing that you do, and that a lot of senior move managers do, I think, is also help with, okay, I know that you love both of these chairs and you've always had them next to each other, but only one will fit.
Mm-hmm.
And helping them work through some of that in going from the big house to what likely can be about 700 square feet.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what happens a lot of times is having that conversation with them to, yes, realistically, I know you love them, but they won't all fit. And a lot of times they're like, oh, well, we'll just take them in over there. And if they don't, then I'll just donate them or just take it back. It doesn't always work that way. It's
Right.
You're spending more money to have it loaded on there and packed up for it to turn back and go, it doesn't fit. So you have to build that relationship and that trust with them to say, hey, I've been over there, or I have the floor plan. We do know that only X amount of things will fit in this space. So what's the most important pieces to you? And if they have history or whatnot. And it is tough, him working with a couple, and then I just moved them in, and they have a couple of pieces of furniture that was handmade for them in Korea, and knowing it will not fit. And so for me, I have the advantage because I do estate sales. I can say, hey, somebody's going to love this, and I'm going to tell them the history behind it, so that it's not going to go to waste. They're not going to get donated and whatnot. It's going to be, and like, somebody's going to be really happy. And so that's half the battle of when you're moving them. In their mind, they're thinking, oh, it's going to end up in a dumpster or a landfill, whatever it is. It's hard for them to let go. But if they know that the next person, and how are you going to allow that to be in somebody's hand that's going to cherish it as much as they have, it makes it a little bit easier for them to let go.
Now, so this senior move manager, okay, so again, most people don't even know this exists, right?
Correct.
But it exists, and so big that there's a National Association of Senior Move Managers,
Yes.
also known as NASM, right?
Yes.
So it's big enough that there's a national association, and they have like conferences and things every year.
Yes.
So this isn't such a new concept. It's just, again, like so many resources for seniors, nobody talks about it.
Yes.
Nobody talks about it. So you are a member of NASM, and in fact, you are speaking at this year's conference in Indianapolis. So tell us a little bit about that organization and what you're going to be talking about. We Are One Heart is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to bridging the gap between the needs and resources of low-income seniors and veterans. Rooted in compassion and love, our mission is to provide housing, living assistance, and access to critical resources that ensure dignity and support for the elderly in underserved communities. At the heart of We Are One Heart's work is the belief that every individual shares a common humanity, a heart connected through love and care. We are committed to creating a future that honors those who have shaped the past by offering programs and services that enhance their quality of life. For more information or to donate, visit wa1h.org. That's wa1h.org.
So there are, like I said, their National Association of Senior Move Managers is nationwide. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, I am the only one. And you would think that Tulsa, as many people as there are, and many people that do whatever they do, only one of us.
Wow.
So my goal is just to make sure that I get the word out, let people know more about this. And then they also need to know that part of the association allows them to feel comfortable, and the trust factor needs to be there. So you can talk to somebody all day long, and you're talking to senior, they trust but verify. But if you can say, I have to abide by these standards, and then it gives them a better feeling about you doing what you do for that. And so I am very blessed, though, to be able to be a speaker at the conference this year. However, you would think that I'd be up there talking about something that had to do with how to move and pack a box. But there's more to it than that.
Sure.
So ironically, what I'm going to be doing is a twist. It's going to be on the safety aspect of it. So and it's more for the senior move managers and the cause and effect. And so for me, my husband is a certified industrial hygienist. He does stuff with OSHA compliance and just this things. I've been around the safety industry for 30 plus years. So it's good to know how to deal with the seniors, but it's also good for the individuals to know how to relate and the safety aspects of it. And so if you're packing boxes and you're working with someone and you forget to put the boxes back where they need to be at the end of the day, and you leave and you come back and the senior falls, so for example,
being cognizant of who your client is.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
While that may have been fine to put those boxes in the hallway for overnight until you come back tomorrow to load your truck, that was fine for somebody that is 35. But when somebody is 85, that can be a whole different ballgame, right? Or leaving a tape dispenser on the floor or anything like that, being cognizant of who your client is.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was going to talk about is in this industry, which is totally opposite from what I do, but on the safety aspect of just being able to talk with people in the industry, there's a gentleman that has a program called Hooked on Safety. He has no arms. He has prosthetics. And so he was working in the industry where you did the climbing the poles and do what he did. And so there's a protocol for that. And you do everything you're supposed to. At the end of the day, you have your checklist of everything to do. Well, he does all this stuff. Well, the next day, he's hoping and he's not thinking about it, but the person before him the day before didn't follow the protocol. They didn't know what they were supposed to be doing. He gets up there and it blows him off and he loses both of his limbs.
Wow.
So it's not necessarily what you do. It's the lack of somebody else that took a shortcut that's causing an effect to that. So going back to the senior, if you put things where, like I said, if they're used to navigating in a space with their walker or whatever, and you have things lined up or they're stacked up too high and it falls on them, it becomes a safety. You don't know. You don't want anything to happen to them. And so can you imagine carrying the burden of that, knowing that you didn't do what you're supposed to be doing, and as a result, it affected the livelihood of the senior?
Well, because I can imagine too. It's like you just mentioned that you're not thinking that Mrs. Smith is going to have to go down that hallway with a walker or a cane, and now she can't quite maneuver it because of the way something was left, and now she tries to move it herself.
Yes.
And now something bad happens. So I just think. I think this is huge that there are, moving companies, big moving companies that understand that this is that it's a thing, right? And that they need to train and teach their employees how to do this safely, efficiently, with the senior and the unpacking in mind. And getting the word out, right? That while this group of movers are great movers, there's nothing bad, and yet they are not trained with this particular client in mind. And while they would never do something intentionally to harm, by not having this training and not having this experience from NASM, they could inadvertently do something.
Yes. And like I said, whenever the movers, their job is to come and pick up the boxes for the most part and take the furniture, when it gets to a new place, they put the beds back up, they put the furniture where they're supposed to be, the boxes are more, kitchen, whatever room it is. But yeah, they just take their dollies and just stack them up high.
Yeah.
But can you imagine someone saying, hey, I need something, and it's in that box at the bottom, so I'll just do that myself, and that causes issues right there if they're trying to navigate, unpack, because they just say, okay, and they're done and they leave. Well, here's a senior, and they get overwhelmed with the boxes in every single room of things that they have to now go through and unpack and put where it needs to go.
Well, tell me, what do you think what is one thing, in your experience, and when it really comes to the senior move, what is one thing that you see families maybe not doing or not doing as well as they could to make this transition easier for everyone, not just the senior, but the rest of the family that's involved?
I think one of the main things I see is that they want to come in and tell their parents, we're going to do it this way, and they don't allow their spouse, their husband, their wife, the parents, sorry. What happens is they come in there and they want to kind of dominate the situation. They're going to go, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and they forget that they can think for themselves. Just because someone gets older, you're thinking, oh, you're 80 years old, let me do this for you. They still have a mind of their own. They can tell you what they want, what they don't want, and they don't want to be told what to do and what not to do.
Don't be parenting me just because, they don't want to be parented by their children.
Correct. And so you can go there, and I love it whenever the kids are involved and they respect their parent enough to say, hey, it's her decision or it's his decision, whatever you think. Majority of the people that I do move, unfortunately, seem to be women because the husbands, they manage to not live as long sometimes. And so I deal with a lot of women. So when you have the adult daughters, okay, can you imagine a mother and a teenager? It's just flipped. It's kind of like they roll their eyes, don't tell me what I want to do, and they just kind of whatever.
Guilty. The eldest daughter becomes the bossy one.
Yes.
My mother said, when did you get so bossy? And I said, these are leadership skills, and I learned them from you.
So the tables are turned, They're like, well, I don't want to do that. And you're just telling them, well, but this is what we're going to do. And we're going to do this. It's caused a resentment, and it's just not a good scenario. So sometimes being a third party, such as myself or whoever does this, to be able to mediate. So we're kind of like unpaid therapists. We can come in there and and whenever it's hard for them to be able to work with their kids, then I can come in there and I just have this knack to be able to work with them. And then I show them that respect and I ask them these questions, whatever, and they feel like they're still in control.
Yeah.
I can still say, why do you need all of these utensils for your grill when you don't have a grill at your new place and you're going to have 3 meals a day and you really don't need them? But it sounds much different coming from me than it does coming from your kids.
From the kids saying, Mom, we don't even have a grill. Why do you need all this stuff? You don't need this. You don't even have a grill. Whereas you would be a little more delicate.
Right. Yes, I have a way of talking to them and I'm kind of sassy with them sometimes. I'm like, girl, like, what do you need this for? And they like that because I just treat them like they're like still young.
Yeah, well, and you're like their friend.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I just think, I think we all, there's certain things that we will, receive well from, you could say almost the same thing that the adult daughter is saying to her.
Right.
And almost the same exact words, but we receive it differently from someone else. I even told that to a friend of mine when her daughter was listening to what somebody else said versus what she said. And I said, she's not listening to you because you're her mother.
Mm.
And she got kind of mad at me. But I said, but that's the truth, right? Is sometimes we don't want to hear that from our mother or our daughter. However, we receive it better from the disinterested third party, the professional in our mind, the person that we're hiring to help us
Mm-hmm.
do that. We're going to receive that differently. And so, I mean, I say all that to say, if you're one of the adult daughters that mom is yelling at because you're bossy, but
Mm-hmm.
she's listening to the Sharyn in the room, it's okay. There's a
Mm-hmm.
reason for that. And that's
Yes.
why you have the Sharyn in the room to
Mm-hmm.
make this go more smoothly.
Mm-hmm. And you just got and patience, because sometimes for me, if they ask the same question as many times they ask me, I'm going to respond back to them, and I'm not going to go, you already asked me that question. Now,
Yeah.
why do you keep asking me that? As a child, especially if they have early onset or whatever it may be, you have to be patient with them, because they
Yeah.
probably ask the same question over and over, and they're overwhelmed and they're stressed and they're just like, just
I mean, they're
frazzled.
moving. They're moving. All their stuff
Yes.
is about to disappear around them. They're going to a place where they don't know anybody. They're not having their own kitchen. They're now going to have to go to a dining room
Mm-hmm.
to eat. Their entire world is shifting.
Yes. And it is
And
difficult.
and it's hard. We know how hard it is for anybody to pick up your stuff and move somewhere different.
Mm-hmm.
And so having some grace with
Mm-hmm.
our seniors, with your parent, with your loved one, that this isn't as easy as we make it out to be. And
And
I
we're
am
not.
grateful that there are people like you um, that are good at it. You know,
And
that
I love it.
understand this move management part, because
Mm-hmm.
we don't have a lot of them in Dallas either. In fact, I think members of NASM, I think I looked it up and there were one or two. And I do know the person that was one of them. But they're just, this is not a industry that is real well known.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, I don't think there's a lot of moving companies that work to get a crew in that is trained in this way.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because if
So,
you have someone that's just a traditional mover, they're, like I said, their whole job is to get in there, get it done, get in there and get it
yeah,
done, and they're not looking to mingle and make friends with anybody. Their thing is that we got to get it in, get it loaded up, and get it in the truck and be gone.
yeah,
So,
right.
we're there to kind of talk with the people and kind of like take away the anxiety. And kind of going back what you were talking about earlier, when you're dealing with the adult children, there's sometimes resentment.
Mm-hmm.
You worked and you weren't here for me, and your dad, that whatever it may be that went through, and they've got all of these things that they're holding as a resentment, and they're bitter, carry that over to,
Yeah,
you're going to do this, that, and you're not going to do this. It causes a problem. Me, I don't have that history. I don't
right,
know any of
right.
that kind of stuff. That's not my place. My place is, what can I do to help this meet a transition that goes smoothly and effectively, and create as less stress and overwhelm as possible.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Sharyn, for spending a little bit of time with us today. I so appreciate it. You know,
Absolutely.
it's something that we don't talk about enough, and even because we don't know that it exists. And so by making sure that people know that there are services, that there are people out there that specialize in moving in a particular way that a senior needs, right?
Yes.
And so so, like I said, I am congratulations on being chosen as a speaker at NASM this year. I know you
Thank you.
will make a big impact, and I understand you're in the process of writing a book about a lot of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, not enough information out there. So, I so
And that's why
appreciate.
education is important.
Yeah,
So that's my thing. And like I said, just one other time, and for the National Aging in Place Council chapter that I
mm-hmm.
started, we're going to be, the purpose of this is we're not looking to go and be a networking group. We're going to be out there in the community and doing things and educating people before they get into a situation where it's a crisis mode and they're making quick decisions. What's out there? What are your options? What can you do right now to save time and effort and stress on your family for later? Do that in advance before you're even in a situation where you're even thinking about needing to move.
Well, because and that's what I tell people, we can't see around the curve, right? Everything's
Hmm.
fine now. It's a nice smooth path, but we can't see what's going on around that curve 50 yards down the way. We can't predict loss. We can't predict illness. We cannot predict these things. And
Hmm.
so by setting things up early and having the right conversations and doing the things that you can do while you can do them, it makes it easier should something happen in the future. I'm not
Yes.
saying that you're going to fall and break a hip. I'm not saying that you're going to become ill or have brain decline and brain changes. And yet, it could happen. And so, having some things planned out and calling somebody even in advance or having their number and saying, when it's time for me to move, I want you to call Sharyn Willard to help,
Hmm. Yes.
right? Because knowing that there's people out there to help when I am unable
Yes.
and pinpointing those people ahead of time will make things easier for everybody.
Hmm.
And family dynamics enter into this all the time.
Yes.
And
And you don't
so
want them
if
climbing ladders and all the things that they need to do. So it's a mental part, because at some point you're thinking, I used to be able to get up on these ladders and do this and that and take everything out of the attic and bring it down, and it's just not safe anymore. Even
yeah,
getting on a step ladder, trying to pull things down and all the things that go into that. There's just so much that people don't think about, but
yeah.
it also kind of gets in your head to think maybe I'm getting older, that I can't do these
Well,
things. But
nobody
that's
wants
just
to talk
us.
about it, but
Right.
fact is nobody's getting out of here alive. And the one thing
Hmm.
that is always true is we're all aging.
Yes.
Everyone is aging. That's just,
Hmm.
you know, you have a born date and
Yes.
you have a dead date, a death date. And during that time, we are just working our way towards that. And so you mentioned, I just keep thinking about movers that stack boxes and somebody trying to take this one down
Hmm.
or
Yes.
all the things that are up high, let's move those down lower
Yes.
now, right?
Hmm.
It's just thinking ahead. It's just thinking ahead
Yeah.
so that, nobody is getting up on a rickety step ladder when they shouldn't be.
Yeah. And
Nobody.
just educating them. And the great thing is, before I forget as well, is I'm excited about us being able to not only talk about these things locally, but the new nationally syndicated show that's going to be for
Yeah.
seniors. And the name of that is Aging Untold. So, you want to mention something about that, or just what are you thinking about
Yeah.
in terms of getting the word out nationwide?
I mean, and that's true. So our friend, and who started the senior home coach, and some other of our friends, Catherine Ambrose and Sam Craddock and Cameron O'Rourke, and they're
Dr.
doing this new show, and it's called
Mhm.
Aging Untold, and it's talking about all the different things that go on with aging,
Mhm. Yes.
and again, we're all aging. There's
Yes.
no fountain of youth has been discovered yet. So,
Yeah.
um, it is educating on a local community level as well as on a national level because we need to know what is out there, what to expect, what can we take care of today versus what to make it easy. I mean, all the things, and we haven't talked about it ever,
Yes, and
ever.
adding the part of the the part of it to be healthy with Dr. Ray
Dr. Ray,
Rogers,
yeah,
who's the fourth person on there, is so important because, like you said, to be able to do the things for your body, to be able to allow you to do these things while you can
yeah,
before it's too late.
yeah.
So
So I would say educate yourself, folks. Educate yourself. I know it's tough because there's not a lot of resources out there, but there's more and more
yes,
coming because, it's like this show, that's its goal. Aging Untold, that's its goal. We've got Valerie Vandesilver on an episode, her Always Ageless radio program. There are resources out there. Sharyn in Tulsa talking with her National Aging in Place Council chapter. The information is there. Unfortunately, sometimes you got to look a little harder for it right now,
hmm yes,
and yet it is out there.
yes. It is out there. And I didn't mention also is the latest thing too is I am now got accepted to be a volunteer for the AARP, to be able
Awesome.
to do some volunteering and to be able to do some education. So I think it's fantastic, and that your podcast, Robin, that you are spreading the word out. And it's going to go not just in Dallas area and Texas area, but across the nation. So that's my hope, is that we can get your information out to as many people, and not just in your corner of the world, to know in advance what things to be looking for when you're navigating this uncharted waters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And AARP is obviously the most well-known probably organization out there for aging adults. And so there are resources there as well. And take advantage of those. Take advantage of everything, whether it's this podcast or Aging Untold or going to a seminar in your community. Continue to learn, continue to educate yourself, and know that there are services and resources out there.
Yes.
You just have to dig a little deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Well, Sharyn, thanks again so much for being on the show. I just appreciate your knowledge and your willingness to share that. So
thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for that opportunity. Thanks, Robin.
And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that everyone gets the great information that we're sharing right here. And we'll see you next time on Relax, I Got This. Bye now. Thank you for joining me on Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. I know that time is our greatest asset, and I appreciate the time that you spend with me. If you're finding the information on this podcast useful, please subscribe to the channel on your favorite platform so that you never miss another episode. Don't forget to go to our website where you will find additional resources, downloads, and coaching programs. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60.